start recording.
Yes, the recording is on.
ChatGPT webinar being recorded. So when you post something on the chat, the link, would everybody be able to see, because it's only for Coppinger and host panelists? I can ask somebody who's not a host.
The link to everyone now.
Oh,
I
okay.
will keep doing
And
it. Yeah.
Q&A is coming. My friend Adrian from Switzerland is here. Hi, Adrian. It's very good. So I know we're going to get a good crowd. So the Q&A is it coming from the chat, from the Zoom, or from the Slido?
So like the Q&A, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Right now, there was one person that came early and he asked a question through the question and answer of Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is a
So
Q&A
we'll get
that,
started.
yeah, we can, like, we have control over both. So slide that we cannot turn off. So there is a Q&A in the Slido and the Slido.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's 8:30 in the morning, Central Daylight Time here in Alabama, where I'm speaking from. And my name is Dr. Channa Prakash. I'm the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at Tuskegee University. And today we are going to simply be talking about ChatGPT. Myself, I am a scientist, a scientist in genomics, in genetics, and biotechnology. And by no means I am an expert in artificial intelligence. And so this is not going to be a webinar about the intricacies of AI and all the nuances and the ramifications that it has. It's simply going to be a demo of how I use this incredible tool, and with a very good commentary followed up after my demonstration with two philosophy professors here at Tuskegee University. They're going to provide the much needed perspective on the limitations of using ChatGPT in the academia, some of the ethical questions that it raises, its academic integrity, the honesty, the plagiarism. And so they're going to talk about some of the guardrails that we need to have. So while I'm kind of more on the techno-enthusiastic side of the use of this technology, I'm also very mindful of the tremendous ramifications it has, the artificial intelligence, the jobs that it might end, and also bad uses of this technology, intended and even unintended, maybe the racial bias that's inherent in the data sets that are trained to use this technology. And we are not going to be talking much of that, but what I hope would be is that we will start a conversation on many of that. So, but most importantly, I would like all my people, my faculty, my students, my friends, my social media followers, the big community of people that I interact with on a daily basis, I want you to be aware of what this technology is. So ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence bot. Some people simply call it as a statistical algorithm, but technically what it is called as, it is defined as a LLM, a large language model. And again, it's based on machine learning. So it started by a company called OpenAI, which is a very small company a few years ago, and still is very small. And what they did was to feed into the computer all the knowledge that's there on the internet, not in the sense about 580 million documents. So this is a tremendously huge entity, this bot, which has so much knowledge. It has gone through all the social media postings, it's gone through lots of YouTube videos, but mostly what is there on the internet. And they stopped this on September 21. In other words, its knowledge ended, the ChatGPT's knowledge ended on September 21. And so while it may be very intelligent, but if you ask it, well, who is the president of UK now, it's not going to say Rishi Sunak. And so that is one limitation, but these are some of the limitations that are going to be overcome because ChatGPT is being upgraded all the time. And there are many other data sets out there that are current. That's one you need to remember. Second, ChatGPT is not connected to the internet. That's kind of strange. You ask, how is it not connected to the internet? We use it via internet. The point is, it doesn't have access to the web yet. So you cannot do a search on that. And remember one thing, ChatGPT is not your Google search engine. So if you want to find out what is today's temperature or where do you get the best nachos in town and whatever, you do a Google for that. ChatGPT is really a language model that helps you on issues related to language. Personally, I see ChatGPT as my knowledge concierge in a way that it is my personal tutor, it's my personal English professor, and it helped me write every day on so many things. You see, as academics, scientists, most of us are in the business of writing, knowledge creation, and knowledge perpetuation. And so in all of these, ChatGPT can be your great ally. You can use it every day in your life, at work, at home, and even for entertainment. And you may have heard, unless you really cut yourself off from the civilization, you would have heard ChatGPT about 100 times a day on the TV, on the social media, on your friends talking, and especially if you're a student, a high school student or a college student, you're going to be, many of you are using this to generate your college essays and in many other things. And you may have also heard that the ChatGPT is so smart that it aced the GMAT exam, or it passed the MBA in Wharton School. And even just a couple of days ago, a report came that they did a study of ChatGPT with the doctors and fed something like 280 critical medical questions. And the ChatGPT was found in a blind survey to be better 4 out of 5 times than the doctors in terms of the answers that it gave. So it is an incredibly powerful entity. And so what I believe is that it is going to get better, it's going to get more powerful, which also is going to make it not only very interesting, exciting, but also troublesome. So let's just dwell into that and see what ChatGPT is about. And I'm going to show you how I use ChatGPT. So when it was only released on November 22nd. And when I first heard ChatGPT in sometime end of November, I started kind of playing around with it, just like I'm sure when you heard about when you heard about the Google or anything, first thing you wanted to notice was how you could use that in your own way. And one of the first things you need to do is to go. Just hold on for 1 second. I just need to. Okay, so just give me 1 second. I'm just going to start sharing my screen and go into the ChatGPT place. This is technically, ChatGPT is not an app. It is what we call as it's in the web browser. So all you need to do is to go to chat.openai.com. So Chitra, can you put that into the text box? So are you able to see my Chat GPT on the web, Chitra? Are you able to see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, that's good. So all it is it has a small box in the bottom where you could query. You see, you need to think of ChatGPT as a friend that you're having a conversation with and ask it to do things, or your assistant writer. So one of the first things most people do is to look up what ChatGPT knows about you. So, it's that's what a lot of people do. And that's what I did, write a bio of Channa Prakash, and give it a few details, because there are probably about 100 Channa Prakashes, a dean, Tuskegee University, and it's very smart. You can make mistakes. It doesn't care. Tuskegee University, and give it a little bit more detail. Social media influencer at AgBioWorld. And also I used to run a website called agbioworld.org. So that's enough. This is the prompt. What I'm providing now is a prompt, and I'll talk a little bit about these prompts. And so I just now asked the ChatGPT to give me a bio, and you could see it is thinking. And I don't know who'd been at Tuskegee and social media. Please check the most recent source for information. So this is changing, because when I did that about 2 days ago, it would get me a whole lot of information about it. And so that's one of the things. What I do is it gives me a lot of these. I usually put a disclaimer like this: only answer what is asked. Do not write pretext disclaimers, because this is what ChatGPT does. Anyway, moving forward, one thing I want to let you know is what I'm using is a model. There's a paid version that I'm using, but most of you would not have to use this. What I'm using is a model either 3.5, which most of you would be using, and model 3.5 is the free version. This is very fast, and this is it is very 3.5 is very fast. You can see the speed. But GPT-4 is the more advanced version. It is a little bit slow, but its reasoning and conciseness is much higher. So one of the things I want to show is how I use it in my research. Like yesterday, a student, a master's student called Yashwant, came to me and told me that he's finished his thesis and he's graduating. So, and I asked him, what was your thesis research about? You see, and he told me it is something about andrographolide. He had never heard of that. I had of it very barely. And this is one of the plant extracts. And he said it's used in breast cancer research, and it has a potential for, and he's trying to test that to see how it could be used by screening against breast cancer cells. So I wanted to learn more about it. So I'll just walk you through what I did. And so I just asked this question to ChatGPT. And you can see it's a little bit slow because I'm using model GPT-4. If you were to use 3.5, it would have given the answer right away. And also I'm using this at a time, early morning, where many people are using this at this time. And so the system is really taxed. Just to give an example how many people are using, when ChatGPT was introduced in November, by about 4 months, 100 million people were using it already. To give an example, to compare that, Facebook, it took 3.5 years to get 100 million users. And ChatGPT has hundreds and hundreds of million users, and it literally has about hundreds and hundreds of applications. There are many softwares that use ChatGPT for various purposes, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it. So as you can see here, if I were to learn about this andrographolide, I could just Google it and get a little bit of this information, what ChatGPT is giving. But it is giving it a more structured information. And so, and now it tells me it has some anti-proliferative and pro-apoptotic effects on cancer cells. So I don't know what it means. So I will ask it to stop regenerating, and you can ask it to provide your concise response in 1 paragraph or 10 paragraphs. So it will oblige. And so let's say I say, ChatGPT, can you tell me about it? Tell me more about anti-proliferative. So you interact with it in a very progressive manner. You see? Sure, let's break it down. You can see it tells me anti-proliferative effects in the context of cancer. It means that substance prevents slow growth of multiplication of cells, And then it goes on to tell me what is the can't even pronounce that, apoptotic effects. This is the cell death, and this is a very interesting area of research, especially in longevity, in gerontology. And so anyway, because of much of my use of ChatGPT is in science, and that is what I'm going to be showing it to you. And so you can see it goes on, and then let's say I'm going to be giving a talk on this. I can ask ChatGPT, provide me with a lecture outline on this topic. For, you should say whether high school students or college students, you should say what kind of complexity it should be for college students. And say, I know that these prompts may be very simple, but I'll also show you how to write more complicated prompts. Sure, here's a possible lecture outline. Let's say I'm giving a talk on this, and it's an introduction, brief explanation about this, about cancer and breast cancer, this importance of studying traditional medicine and drug. You see, it has gone deep now. And then research evidence, So you get the point. You can use this to practically ask anything under the sun, and even extremely complicated, nuanced topics. ChatGPT is able to parse and provide it some very, very clear-cut answers on how you can use that in your everyday work. But you have to be very specific in asking the questions, and also make sure what kind of format you want. And I'll show you a few other examples. Okay, now I say, I learned about, so tell me about AI applications in improving this drug further. You see, it's just like asking a friend a question. If I were to ask the student same questions about his thesis, this is what I would be asking. But look at the sophisticated nature of the answer the ChatGPT is giving me. So I hope you get the point here. Instead of learning flatly from a book or even from Wikipedia, here using ChatGPT, you have a profound opportunity to query it, interact with in a very progressive manner on very specific areas without having to click on a large number of web pages and hyperlinks and things of that nature. And this is getting very sophisticated. You could now have a voice output to this, and you could have a voice input to this. And very soon ChatGPT, all of this is text-based, but very soon ChatGPT is also coming up with graphical output-based. Already 4.0 can analyze the graphs and look at the figures, but it's also going to output. You can ask it to provide information back to you in an infogram, for instance. Okay, and so that's so much about the Android graph, and I can say, okay, provide me with some citations for this. Okay, so now you can see it gives you that usual disclaimer as an AI don't have. And what is interesting is a lot of students who cheat this copy the same thing. So if you're a professor looking for an essay that is generated by the student or the AI, just look for that, because many students cut and paste the same thing, which is not good. And that's what Dr. Taylor and Dr. Coppinger are going to be talking about it. So you can see ChatGPT comes up with these references. And again, I'm sure you all know how to go about and get these references. Okay. And so one of the things ChatGPT does, and I want to warn you, is it tends to make up stuff. So not everything what you're seeing here is true, because although in 4.0 I'm using is more reliable, the free version of ChatGPT does what they call as hallucination, because it essentially bullshits some of the information. So you have to be very careful, because when it did a bio of me, it said I'm a member of National Academy of Science, which I was not. And it said that I got a PhD from University of Chicago, which I didn't. And so you must be very careful, and you use ChatGPT with a bit of salt, and be very careful with it. And so how does ChatGPT used in my other types of work? As a professor, I am always writing. Okay, and so ChatGPT helps me to check my grammar and English. Okay, for instance, I just wrote this abstract for a conference I was going to attend. So what I did was I just copied this abstract and put it here. Hey, ChatGPT, please improve the language, grammar, grammar and readability of this scientific abstract. Okay, and all you have to do is copy and paste, and then ChatGPT will do the magic for you. So it will give you this was it even the author and my title and everything, because it knows who I am. And you can see what I did. It rewrites it paraphrases, and it is essentially going through every sentence what I have written, and it improves it. And again, the improvement that you get here is, you could just say improve it, but you could also make it very specific. Can you write it, make it more scientific? Can you improve? There are certain words that are used, something like temperature and perplexity. And so if you go into some of these AI related discussion boards on Reddit and other places, you will learn a lot as to how you can improve the prompt to get a much better desired outcome. The more specific you are in what you ask for ChatGPT, the better you would be. Okay. And so I can ask, hey, now tell me what changes you made in my document. Yeah, list them in a table. So now look at that. It will tell me exactly what changes it made in the document I put. ChatGPT is so good, it can make me lazy. And that is my worry. You see, look at it, tell me every sentence, what it does, reason for change, revised text. See, it's more appropriate in the last year, nearly 19 million planted. And the revised text, let's see what it does. See, it put it in a more descriptive manner. It says reworded for clarity and improve. So imagine, a lot of us, and myself included, English is not my first language. I never studied in English until I was in 8th grade. And so I have a big disadvantage compared to native English speakers in the way I communicate, the way I write, the way I speak. And so having ChatGPT by my side, helps me, provide a more equal ground, and provides me with a much better tool to communicate with the people. And so most of the time, I'm on the social media. I can ask ChatGPT, craft a Twitter message based on that abstract that I or summary that I put. Yes. Okay, I stop generating. You see, so it knows, ChatGPT knows the kind of Twitter messages I done. So I've done thousands and thousands of that. You see, it has put hash marks and everything. See, it knows it has 280 character limits, and you can see how already it is going further. Okay, and so this is the way I use. I'll give you one more example. If and this is, as I say, ChatGPT can make you lazy. I had a student who came to me and said he needed a letter of recommendation, and being a dean and all that. I was very, very busy. I don't normally give letters of recommendation, but I said, okay, let me just use the ChatGPT. And then I just copied and pasted his resume, just one page, and write a letter of recommendation, and it did. So it's not being very honest because I didn't spend any time on that, but what I did was to use that template and rewrite that letter of recommendation. But instead of spending 30 minutes, I could get that out in the 5 minutes. So one other thing I do is I read a lot of scientific articles. Okay, so let's look at one scientific article. This is from American Scientific American, and as you know, many of the articles in Scientific American tend to be very long. And so as a busy professor, you may not have much time reading through that article. And so what you could do is, and it used to do it before, you write a summarize this, and I could just put the article. It could do it for me, but for whatever reason, it is not doing it now. It gives me that usual BS. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, but it is not. But I'll show you where you can do that because it's not directly connected to the link. Now it says, however, I can tell you about. Okay, so it's telling me about CRISPR. For many of you who may not know what CRISPR-Cas is, this is a new gene editing technology, one of the most transformational tools that has come about. And that could be that is used in many, many ways. And so anyway, you can see, you can provide an article, or you can even copy and paste that article, and it'll give you that, give you the summary of it. So I'm going to copy and paste, and you can see it'll give you the summary of it. I'll say stop generating, you get the effect, copy and, no. See, I made a mistake, but it doesn't matter. It will know. Okay, I'm still going with that. Apologies. Okay, so I will move on. You get the point. You can. One of the other things I do when you have to use a direct piece, a link in the internet, I suggest you use Bing, because that Bing in an Edge browser is directly connected to the internet, and so you can go ahead and get that information. So let me just show you just a couple of other things, what I do. Okay, so ChatGPT, I use it also for fun, because you can say, write a hip hop song about ChatGPT and CRISPR. It's kind of very weird, but you can also say what style you want, and you could just say, four verses or something like that. You could limit how you want it. And so let's see what it does. So verse 1, it's a GPT splitting knowledge so free. And you can see Jay-Z style is already there, educating the word from J to Z. Get the open text, spitting verses like fire, answering your queries, never going to tire. And so you can see the fun part, and it is so smart. It can do a thing. And now I say, okay, that's cool. Now do it, Tupac.